Shiur is dedicated to Nishmas Rachalea Bas Rav Chaim Tzvi. We're discussing the laws of Muktza, and we've discussed in the past shiur, we discussed the concept of kli shemlachto isser. You have a kli, a vessel, whose primary function is a prohibited function on Shabbos, even though it has a subsidiary use that is laheter, that's considered to be Muktza, although it's a mild form of Muktza. It's not such a chamor form of Muktza because there is the heter of l'tzorach gufo u'l'tzorach mekomo. Then you have another kind of kli, another category of Muktza, which on the surface is a very, very narrow category. This is what we call a kli shemlachto laheter. And a kli shemlachto laheter is really the flip side of a kli shemlachto isser, whereas a kli shemlachto isser is a kli that's primary use is a prohibited use. You have something called a kli shemlachto laheter, whose primary use is considered to be a permissible use. That's a kli shemlachto laheter. And the Shulchan Aruch tells us that although these are very common items in the home, and one that you would think are not Muktza whatsoever, there is a sliver of Muktza that exists even with these kinds of kelim. This is what's discussed in the Gemara Masechah Shabbos Daf Kuf Chav Dalet and brought down in Shulchan Aruch in Siman Shin Ches Halacha Dalet. Says the Shulchan Aruch, Kli shemlachto laheter. A kli shemlachto laheter muter letaltalo. You're allowed to move it. Afilu eina ela tzorach hakli shlo yishaver o yiganif. We saw when it comes to kli shemlachto isser that you're not allowed to move a kli shemlachto isser in order to protect the kli itself. If it's in the rain, if it's in the sun, and you want to protect the kli, that's asur. You're allowed to move it l'tzorach gufo, for use of it, for its own use, for its use, for one of its uses. But to protect the kli, that's also when it comes to kli shemlachto isser. However, when it comes to kli shemlachto laheter, even mechamal etzel is going to be mutter. So is there any muktzah left? In what sense is it asur to carry, it to move? So it comes along the Shulchan Aruch and says, Aval, shelo letzorech klal asur letaltel. But you're not allowed to move it for no purpose whatsoever. So if you have any purpose, whether it's letzorech makom, letzorech gufo, micham letzel, that's going to be permissible. If, however, you're talking about shelo letzorech klal, for no purpose whatsoever, so that is going to be asur, even by a kli shemlachto leheter. Comes along the Mishnah Berurah and says, what does this mean? Hainu im kol hayom lo yitzorchenu klal. You have no use for it at all during the day. You're just moving it for no reason at all, so that is going to be asur. The Aruch HaShulchan raises the question, so what exactly does that mean? If you're carrying it, if you're moving it, you must have some reason to move it. If you tell me you're just handling it because you're fidgety, so even that's a tzorech. If you have some kind of psychological need to handle something, that's also a tzorech. So what exactly are we talking about over here? The Aruch HaShulchan leaves it as a question, as a tzorechiyim. What exactly is this case of shelo letzorech klal? So apparently you have to say that you're not using it to fidget, you have no reason at all, not even to fidget. You're just handling it without any tzorech whatsoever. Again, it's a very, very narrow case, but it should be noted that even kli shemlachto laheter does have this little slice of muktzah left to it, shelo tzorech klal, but in principle, not a problem at all. In fact, is there any object that doesn't have any muktzah at all relevant to it, that there's no prohibition of muktzah whatsoever? Do you have kelim of this sort? So if you take a look at the Gemara in Masechah Shabbos on Daf Kuf Chav Gimel Amud Beis, so here the Gemara describes, and Rishonim describe that you can have certain cases where there's no muktzah at all, nothing. There's no vestige of muktzah whatsoever. Rashi writes in Dibur Maskil Muktza, and Tosas points out in the Dibur Maskil the same exact word, Muktza. We'll look at Tosas first. Tosas says, Muktza shel dvela, lo chashiv ela kelim de la b'nei kibul, the hapshita, the kosos, ukaaros, utzluchios, hayumetatlim. There's certain objects that is obvious that there's no muktzah at all. Kosos, cups, kaaros, utzluchios. You have these very fundamental and basic household items. As to these items, there's no prohibition of muktzah whatsoever. And Rashi also echoes this point. You have certain objects in the home that are so common in our usage that there is no gzeira of muktzah at all. And this is what we find in Shulchan Aruch in Siman Shin Ches Halacha Dalid, where the Shulchan Aruch continues and tells us that another example, Kisvei HaKodesh. If you have Kisvei HaKodesh, texts of Torah, the ochlin, or food items, Plus what Tosas points out, these basic fundamental items that are in the house that are so common, your cutlery, cups, plates, and so forth, muter letatalam, afilu shelo letzorech klal. So any kind of sefer book that you read is going to be muter. You don't have to have any tzorech. So too these basic household items, that is going to be permissible, afilu shelo letzorech klal. The Sharat Tziyun explains, based on Rashi, that Hatam, the reason for this, these cases where there's no Muktza whatsoever, is Dahani Tedirin Betashmish. They're so commonly used. L'gabe lechem ubasav ha'achlim, bread, and your basic food, kelim, like sakinim, knives. Therefore, Chazal never prohibited them in any fashion.